Hello and welcome back to the Adrian project. Hello everyone, and many thanks for choosing to click onto my video and watch the content. So today, as it said in the title, we're going to bring you part 2 of our Total Beginner's Guide to Getting into Modelling. If you missed the first video, I'll put a link up there now, so you'll be able to go and watch it and then come back and you've caught up to where we are now. So without further ado, in this part of the video we are going to start the build of our Airfix Supermarine Spitfire Mk1a. Right, okay, so the first thing that you're going to do with your kit when you take it out of the pack is to give it a wash. Now you're going to be doing it in lukewarm soapy water. The reason you do this is that in the moulding process the company uses a release agent and it's greasy, and it can, if they've used a lot on the mould, it can affect how the paint adheres to the kit. So just give it a little wash. Like I say, this water needs to be lukewarm. You don't need it any warmer than that, because otherwise the plastic is going to heat up and it's going to go out of shape. So all you do, put it in the water, in your soapy water, give it a sloosh about, give it a rub. Be really careful around your thinner parts, because they are really fragile as well. That's all it needs. And when you've done that, you rinse off all the soapy water with cold water. Don't use warm, use cold. There we go. If you get this second sprue, do exactly the same. Give it a little wipe. A lot of the time, this is just for peace of mind, but you do get some kits, especially the older kits, and they do have that really greasy feel to them, and that's why, because it's got release agent all over, and that, like I say, that does affect how your paint adheres to the model when you're doing it. So there we go. Just a quick wash. Rinse all the soapy water off, cold water. Then you can just put those onto some kitchen roll and let them air dry. Of course, if you're going to be doing this in the sink or the bowl, just check the sprue, and also check in your bowl or your sink, just to make sure there's no parts that's come loose away from the sprue, because otherwise you take the plug out and that will be it, your part will be down the drain. So there we go. Now I'm going to put those, letting them dry, air dry. It takes a couple of hours, and then we can move on to the build itself. So everything is now dry. We just put the parts on some kitchen roll, that's absorbed all the water, and your parts are now dry and they're clean from any release agent. So there we go. Put that to one side. Right, before we start, there are a couple of things just to bear in mind. First and foremost is, don't rush. There's no prizes for finishing first. If you rush into it, you're going to make mistakes and you're not going to enjoy it as much as you will do. So that's one little tip. The other tip is when it comes to using the glue, use it very sparingly. When we do cut the parts off, the most important thing is to dry fit everything, which means that you put the parts together to make sure you know how they fit together before you put any glue on them. This will mean that you know how the parts are supposed to go together, and then you will also notice if there are any little bits of plastic that shouldn't be there, which is stopping the proper join, so you can then clean the parts up. And the most important thing to remember is enjoy yourself. It's a hobby, and that's what you need to do. So, okay, let's get rid of these bits off the table, which I meant to clean and I forgot. So, we're going to be starting on section number 1. As you can see, this is making up the cockpit interior. So, if we see, let's have a look at this. We need to be removing part A10, part B26 and part A9 from the sprues. They make up your cockpit floor. Now, if you look at this, there are paint call-outs on this for part paint, number 30, which is a kind of green colour. If there were a lot of different paint call-outs in this, you paint them before we glue them on. But those 3 parts, for the time being, they're okay. They can be glued together, and we can paint them in the next part after the glue's dried. But first, let's start removing some of the parts. So, the first part we're going to be looking at is part A10. So, you pick up the sprue. This is your A sprue. And A10 is that part just there. So you've got your little number there. That icon across there tells you that it is sprue A. That's number 10, and that's your part. So you take your scissors and you cut it, that part there, because you've got to be careful, you know which part you're going to remove. Just check with a diagram. If you're not sure, that's what the part should look like when you removed it from the sprue. That way you know you're not going to be cutting off any bits that you're not supposed to. So say you get your scissors next to the part and snip. You may want to support it a little bit as well. There's another one there. You flip it over, and as you can see, there is a part on the top there. You have to be careful not to clip off. So, oh, there we go. So that is all the parts. That's the part removed. Now, as you notice, you can have this little nub just there. There's a little nub just there. Now these are going to have to be removed. So what you can either do is 2 ways of doing this. If you're okay with your craft knife, if you feel alright using it, lay the blade flat along the part so you're not digging in. You just lay it across there, support the piece, and there we go. And that's that part cleared off. Now you can do it with your sanding stick. Just smooth it a little bit with your sanding stick that you've got, which is your nail file. Don't push down, just let the stick do the work, and then if you run your finger across there, it should feel smooth. A good tip there is use your fingernail. If you can feel a little nump there, you know it just needs sanding back a little more. There isn't that, so that's clean. So again, on this part there, lay your blade flat and just remove. I'm going to remove that little knob there. There we go. Now, as you can see, still a little bit of plastic there that needs to be removing. So again, you let your sanding stick do the work, not pushing down, because you don't want to be taking the shape out of the plastic. There we go. And we rub your finger over it, and that's that one done. Now if we look, where the other sprue gate was on that piece there. That's just a little fine nub, so I'd use the sanding stick there because you don't want to be going down too hard. Just getting rid of that little nub there. I think that's okay. Let's have a look. No, it just needs a little bit more off. So always do a few swipes and then check. So you lay in the stick, do the work, and there we go. And that is that part all clean and ready. Oh, sorry, that's that part all clean and ready for gluing. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to remove the other parts that are mentioned in this part of the assembly, and then we'll go on to the gluing stage. Right then, so as we can see, that is all the parts released from the sprue and all cleaned up. All the little nubs that shouldn't be there have been removed either with the craft knife or with a sanding stick. Again, I'll reiterate, if you're not sure if you're going to be sanding down a part that's supposed to be there, just check your part along with the diagram. You can see what's supposed to be there and what isn't. Okay, so right, as you can see, that's the poly cement that you get with the kit. I'm going to be using this bottle that I've had for a while, mainly because I've got loads of these and I don't want to be having loads of half-used tubes of glue around, so I'll just use the one that I've got open already. It's the exact same glue, it's going to do the exact same job as that will, so don't panic about that one. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, we've got, as you can see, we've got to put that front panel there, which is going to have all the dials and everything on it, and glue it onto the cockpit floor just there. Now if you look at this little diagram there, that shows you how it should look when it fits together. So as I was saying, this is where dry fitting comes into play. So as we can see, that part goes through the hole there onto there, and if it's done it right, as you can see, oh, I'm not getting my fingers in the way, you've got that part there that will rest just there onto that part. So now you know how the part fits together and you know where to place the glue. Now the glue is going to be going onto these little bits just there, and it will be held into place like that. So also, as you can see along the back, you might just need a little dab of glue along that little back part there. Now what you will be tempted to do is to go with a tube, squeezing away, and then you're just going to end up with one big mess because you're going to have next to no control over doing it that way. So what you do, rip the edge off the box, and then instead of putting the glue straight onto the part, put a blob of glue. There we go. Just like I say, it's now all coming out everywhere. And that's why, because you've got no control over it. If you get any glue on your fingers, wipe it off straight away. Don't leave it. So there we go. And what you're going to use is a little cocktail stick to put the glue onto the part. So you've dry fitted it, you know the connecting points of those two just there, and a little line in the middle of that bar there, so that's where the glue is going to go. So you get some glue on your cocktail stick, little dab there, not too much, you don't need a lot, little dab there, and then just a little dab on the back there. Okay, and then, excuse my shaky hands, I do have trouble with my hands. Put those parts onto there like that. Make sure they're in position. There we go. Sorry, I might have just done that off the camera. I am so sorry if I've just done that off camera set, because like I say, I've got my camera pointed down. So there we go. That's those two parts there. And if you look at the diagram, that's how they should be fitted together. Okay. So the next part we're going to be putting on is this front part there, which is that. And as you can see, make sure, looking at the instructions, you've got the part the right way around. And then if you look, get this right way around myself if you don't mind, sorry about that. So as we can see, when you do the dry fit, that there's a little tab there, goes through that little hole on the bottom, just like that. So that's how it's going to look. And of course, as well, you've got your seat that needs to go on as well. So like I say, dry fitting again. And you know exactly how the parts should fit on. He said, dry fitting it. Oh, sorry about this. I'm all fingers and thumbs, but that's how that cockpit there. That's how your seat goes on. So you know you only have to put glue on these 4 locating points there. So we'll get the chair glued on first. So again, it's just a little dab of glue on that one, and a little dab of glue on that one. Little dab of glue there, and a little dab of glue on there. There we go. And then we can fit the chair into position. Oops. Bear with me a minute. There we go. Just cockpit chair into position. Make sure you're on right. Sorry, I'm just mumbling to myself at the minute. Sorry about that. And there you go. That's all done on nice and cleanly. Not use too much glue, because if you just use it straight from the tube, you can guarantee you can have glue all over the part. So the next part we've got to glue is underneath there, the little hole, and along that line there for the connecting point for your cockpit floor. So there we go. I think we might actually glue on this part, because that's where it goes. So you put a little dab of glue on here. This may be your first time modelling. This is my first time doing this kind of video. So there we go, we're learning together. And of course that part goes into there like that. Just make those two together. There we go. Trying to keep as much of the glue off your fingers as you can. Just give me a moment. There. Sorry about my shaky hands. There we go. And that's got the little back seat on there. Make sure it's gone in correctly. So there we go. That's those three parts, sorry, done. There we go. Yep. That of course just leaves the little control stick. As we can see, that goes, as you can see from the instructions, there is a little step on the bottom of the control stick, and that's that little part there that faces forward. So should be a little hole for that to go into, which is that part. There, just drop the part. What you can do is just dab the end of the part in, like that, and then I think I should have put this in before we did that, but there we go. Well, there we go, got it in, right into position. There we are. That is all your cockpit interior done in. You just go around, make sure all the parts are how they should be. It's supposed to be vertically upright. I think it's just the plastic that's just a little bit warped, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem that. So what you want to do with that now is set it to one side and let it all dry. There we go. That is the first part of your model done. So you don't want to touch that now, you just want to leave it to dry. So while that's drying, if we look at section 2, we're fitting the propeller together. Now this is a bit confusing because on the part guide here it's telling you to paint the spinner in black, yet on the painting instructions it's white. But just for this video, we're going to go with everything is painted black. So what I would do, because they're all painted the same colour, I would fit these three parts together and then we can paint them afterwards. It's going to make it a lot easier and a lot cleaner as well. So I'll just go away, snip these from the sprue, clean them up, glue them together, and then we can take it from there. Okay, so as before, section number 2, taking these three parts from the sprue, clean them up and glued them together, and that's what you have, your little propeller. Right, now these two subsections need to be put to one side for at least 24 hours to give the glue time to harden properly. Don't be tempted to keep going back and fiddling with it, because you make more trouble than it's worth for yourself there. So just set them aside for 24 hours, and then when we come back for the next video, we're going to be having a look at painting your cockpit interior and your little propeller. And that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed that one. Please remember, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to my channel. It'd be very much appreciated. And also don't forget to ring that little notification bell. Also, if you've got Facebook, you can follow me at Adrian Bauer Project. And if you've got a Twitter account, you can follow me at Project Bauer. So, with all that in mind, I'd like to thank you all again for watching, and here's to seeing you all again on the next episode of the Adrian Bauer Project.